When to use an airlock. Airlocks are used in brewing beer, wine, and making moonshine. The airlocks release carbon dioxide during the fermentation process. It also prevents air from entering the fermenter vessel, carboys, or plastic bucket, thus avoiding oxidization. Hello, my name is Ray. We are here to share what we have learned along the way using airlocks. The airlock we are using takes carbon dioxide by being released by the yeast and sugar, raisins forcing it up through the airlock, through the water, and exit the top of the airlock. So when you see this bubbling, that's what we're just discussing.
Let me ask you a question. Why does the mash come up through the airlock?
The mash comes up through the airlock when the bottom tip of the airlock is too deep in the bucket or vessel. To fix this, rinse the airlock, refill to the max line with water, moonshine, and insert again, checking the head space.
Why is the top bulging like that?
That's the pressure from the CO2.
So if you take the airlock out to go rinse it, because there's also a little gnat in there, what will happen to the pressure? So you're going to go rinse the airlock, fill it with moonshine to the fill line, put it back in.
And you see it bulge right back up.
That's a good thing.
That means a lot of CO2 in there. This is exactly one of the reasons we use glass carboys. This enables us to see exactly where the mash is and the airlock tip is. So you can look in here, it's got 1.5 inches. Over here you can see the foaming. If this was down at like the bucket is and you only leave a little bit, it'll be in that foam. Some of them will foam up 2 inches. Glass we can adjust accordingly. We have never had a problem with using the glass carboys and have had issues when using the 5-gallon bucket. As you can see, in that airlock you can see the stain where the mash started to come up.
How does an airlock work?
An airlock acts as a barrier by using either water or moonshine in an airlock. Most airlocks have a fill min-max line indicating the most water or moonshine you should place in the airlock. Don't fill over the line in your airlock or it may not work properly. So here's a min-max. So on this side where it comes up is the minimum. That's the max. So as this bubble goes through, if it got any higher it would go out. So the length of these two bubbles together is less than that. Many types out there.
Do you need an airlock when making moonshine? Do you have to have one of these?
It's not a necessity. I just think it's a great tool. No, you don't need an airlock, but you need some way of releasing the CO2 as mash is fermenting. Another method we use is some linen with a rubber band. This allows the gas to escape, but also keeping insects out. Down here is the CO2, and the air is above it, creating a barrier.
What can you use instead of an airlock?
We use a piece of linen with a rubber band. You can put a piece of cardboard. There is quite a few things you can use instead of an airlock. A piece of linen, plastic glove with a small hole in the finger, or with a small mouth of the carboy. If using a 5-gallon bucket, some have used a piece of cardboard, loosely laid the lid over the opening of the bucket. We use only airlocks or a piece of linen when we make mash. Use what you feel comfortable with.
What should you do if your airlock is not bubbling?
If the airlock is not bubbling, it may mean a few things. If it doesn't bubble within 30 minutes of making mash, you may have a poor seal in the bucket, a leak around the grommet. Second, you may have too much water in the airlock. Be sure to fill the min-max line.
So where's the grommet you're talking about?
5/8 grommet with a 3/8 hole for the end of the tube. Just insert it and it creates it. Now if you put it in the middle here, very hard to carry the handle.
That's all explained in our other video. We'll circle back to that at the end of this video.
This is actually a stopper. Some people call it a bung. It goes in the top here and the airlock goes through it. These are for carboys. So this same one fits this carboy on there.
Another reason why we love to use glass, besides it's not being plastic, it's a conversation piece. It is so amusing to watch the raisins go down if we're using raisins. We like to watch all the activity, fermentation taking place. And we're having a storm on the mountain. So I don't know if I'll be able to do a voiceover on that, but let nature do its thing. Leave the cap on the airlock.
Yes, you should leave the cap on the airlock. The airlock has a cap, a little pinhole that releases carbon dioxide and escapes and prevents bugs from entering the airlock.
As we saw in this one, a little gnat got in it. But even though it's a pinhole, the little gnats get in. If you take that off, you can expect gnat, bugs, flies. You don't want that. Can you use a balloon instead of an airlock?
Yes, you can use a balloon. It's cheaper than a plastic glove. You still have to prick a small little hole in it to allow the CO2 gas to escape.
Ooh, it is lightning. We're going to show you, we do not do this, but we're going to show you how you can do it if you'd like to. We're going to remove the linen and rubber band. We're going to place a glove on there. We're going to show you how the gases build up and they will fill the glove up, and then we'll put a little pinhole in it to release it if that's what you want to use. We're going to finish the video, and when that starts rising, we'll go back to it. This acts the same as a balloon. Ray, why would an airlock start losing its water?
If the mash or the wort temperature drops or plummets too fast inside the mash vessel, the airlock's liquid will be sucked into the mash vessel. If you remove the airlock slowly or the lid to release the pressure, refill the airlock with water or moonshine. It will go back to normal only if there is more fermentation to take place and the temperature is brought back up.
How often should the airlock blip or bubble? I know that some people think it's so much right after 30 minutes, how much it should be once or twice an hour. What do you think?
For moonshine, the airlock should bubble shortly after the yeast is introduced to the mash. And if everything was done properly, the airlock should start bubbling within 10 to 30 minutes.
And you will see that in our simple mash video. We'll talk again about that at the end of this video.
If you can see, these are blipping as they go. This one's been in there 5-6 days. You can start to see it slow down to about every 3 seconds. One on the right, we just started 2 days ago, so it's blipping a little faster.
And what about the bucket?
The bucket was 5.5.
So what's the oldest one?
This one. Another contributing factor, when you make up the mash, if the pH level is too high or too low, the yeast won't work properly. The mash pH in the mix of water and grain should be between 5.2 to 5.6. Stay tuned, a video is coming all about pH in the mash. This also holds true if the mash temperature is too high or too low before you add the yeast, it won't start fermenting. During the end of the fermentation cycle, the bubbling will slow and finally stall. But if the airlock does stop bubbling, that does not necessarily mean your mash is ready to run. You need to check out the mash with a specific gravity hydrometer to take a reading. It should read 0.990. Otherwise, you may need to find a way to keep the mash warmer until fermentation is complete. This bubble stopped bubbling. Is it done? We're going to leave you a link up there. And it's going to show you how to check this with a specific gravity hydrometer. And we can verify all the fermentable sugars have been converted to alcohol. We also are going to have a link up there. It's going to show you how to use the alcohol hydrometer. So as you're in the distilling process, we'll show you how to proof your product. Here in the bucket, we have a simple mash. We're going to leave a link up there, how to make a simple mash. There's also a blog written on that. Come join us at the Moonshine How-To. Oh, I bet you're wondering what these lanyards and these tags are. They're actually grain bills. We have printable download on our website.
Free. He forgot to tell you.
Free. That's free.
Free.
It's very important to keep detailed notes. What date, what batch is it, how much sugar, how much, everything that was in there. Some of these notes take front and back. Very important if you want to duplicate this recipe. Check out our free printables.
Please join our Facebook group, even if you're experienced or a beginner. We're trying to get a good community going where we can share. We're going to start everyone at the bottom level, and then we're going to work our way up. Recipes, how-tos, how to use the still, how to clean the still, everything, but we don't want to jump around. We want to start as if you are just beginning your journey today. So we are on our 4th video, and we're going to try to upload every single Sunday.
Here's another teaser. If you want to know how to keep this at a nice temperature, you'll have to come back and see what this cord actually leads to. On our blog and our website, there's recommendations. We have links to Amazon of interesting things like the shop section. We show you where to buy these airlocks. We show you where to buy this bubbler jar. We show you where to buy all these products, hydrometers, and then we're showing you how to use them, and we're actually using the products we recommend. Come join us. We'll see you next time.